Welcome to the next podcast from Millinery.Info. This episode is with Kate Betts. Kate is a milliner based in Dublin, Ireland. We'd like to thank our Patreon supporters of this podcast, the Hat Academy, The Essential Hat, and Louise McDonald Milliner. Thank you for having me in your Dublin studio today.
Yeah, thank you for getting in contact. I was delighted. Yeah.
You're welcome.
How did you actually kind of choose, or you knew of me, or?
Yes. Well, I know Lena, and I wanted to do with her, and I said, I'm here.
Yeah.
Who else should I chat to?
Oh,
and she
that's
said, well, you
nice.
should, if you're in Dublin, say hi to Kate and see if she can.
So I did some classes with Lena, years back. So.
Wow. Well, that's my first question is, how did you come to hats or learn about hats?
Well, I had always made things, and my mother taught me to sew, and I was kind of making some kind of headpieces and fascinator things for dance events that I was going to, and there was a competition at one of them, and I won, and the judge of the competition was the Argentine ambassador, and the table, they were so chic and stylish, and I looked over it and I was really impressed by their style. And so I thought that was an endorsement for me, and it made me think, oh, actually, maybe I should pursue this. And it was in the crash that I had lost my job. There were no jobs to apply for, so I applied myself to millinery, and I really loved it. And then remembered that I had actually made hats as a child as well. Like, I had completely forgotten about it. And to quite a high standard, like things that I found one of them, and it was I would find it quite difficult to make now. It was a cut and sewn piece. Yeah, so I guess it was always there. I just didn't realise.
And did you take classes after that?
Yeah, so then I did. What did I do first? I did a weekend with Lena, and I went over to London. I did a week with Rose Corey. I did that twice. And then I was always making and teaching myself as well. And then I entered a competition, the Hat Magazine competition, and I got into the finals of that, and I was highly commended. So I did an internship at Sherry BB with Marie-Claire Barbin, who's just retired actually this year as well. And I did an internship there in France.
Wow.
It was great.
What piece did you make for the competition?
So I think there were 4 pieces, and one it was themes. One of the themes was luck, and I can't remember actually. So one was one was a kind of an origami cat's ears piece that was made of folded grosgrain, and it was kind of neat the way it all folded together, and it was actually, you could fold it down as well, and it had kind of ostrich fluff in the ears, which I liked. And the other was a doughboy, like a sailor's cap, but I had it printed. I just kind of a tattoo, a swallow tattoo stamp that kind of flowed around the hat and across the hat. So yeah, that was kind of like surface design, I suppose. And then another one, a third one was a pork pie done in cinnamon, with some kind of carpet. It was like very coarse materials, and had some Lucky Charms on it, and it was quite a classic design in a way. And the fourth was what was the fourth? I can't remember. It'll come to me. Can I get?
Yeah, we can come back to that.
Remember that one later.
So how would you describe the hats that you're making at the moment? What's the style of them?
Okay, so I make, most of my clients are mothers of the bride or mothers of the groom, so that does inform what I do. People want to look really elegant, and at least my clients anyway are looking for a kind of a chic look, and it's a little bit understated. They don't want to look like they're trying to outdo the bride, or there's all this kind of protocol. So it's quite a clean kind of lines, and a little bit low key, but they are at the same time, they're different from other hats, so they do kind of stand out. That I used to practice as an artist, and I always like the idea of form and function. So often the trim is part of the hat, or the shape of the hat is the decoration, if you know what I mean. It's like yeah, I don't go for loads of different colours together at the same time. It tends to be a little bit minimal.
And when your customers come to you, do you have a collection which they choose from, or will some of them have an idea of what they would like it to be already?
Mostly they will choose from my collection. Occasionally they'll trust me to make something sight unseen, you know, but as you probably know yourself, that's a real tricky job.
There's a lot of trust in that.
It is. So after a few years in millinery, I realised that it's best to avoid that kind of thing if you want to make any money, you know. So I do. I have a selection of samples. People try those on, and generally I tweak from there. So I might make things a bit bigger or a bit smaller, or, you know, make small changes, but basically so that people know what they're going to get. Because if you're asking somebody to trust you to make something that's in their mind and in my mind, there's no knowing that it's the same thing. And the other thing is, you could do exactly what is in their mind, but by the time they come back to you a few weeks later, it's morphed in their mind. It's changed. So, and you're looking at the notes going, but yeah, this is what we agreed. And you go through all the notes. Yes, but I thought it would be different, you know.
And how do your clients come to you? How does that generally work for you?
So most of them come through a dressmaker. So she recommends me, and that works really well. And our styles, myself and Maura Fucking Designs is her name, and I like her style and she likes mine, so we work well together like that. And we would meet every now and again. We'd meet and talk about the designs and things, and talk about colours and stuff. So it works really well. So she really wants her clients to have a total look that is really harmonious and complete, and so she trusts me to take care of that, you know, as far as the hat goes. And I understand her design and her style, so I'm able to do that, you know. And it's a nice arrangement. It works well.
Were you consciously designed to make pieces that go with her collection, or it just happens that there's good synergy between your designs?
The synergy was there from the start, and then yes, I do make to go with her collection, and then I make for my own. It's all my collection, but I would also make for myself. Yes. But I think in a way we chose each other, so she likes my style as well. And then sometimes it's good to have other things they're not necessarily designed for her, you know. Yeah.
And your studio is in the centre of Dublin. And how long have you been here, and how did you come to be in this space?
In this particular space, so I've been in this space for a year. Dublin is really difficult at the moment for renting space. And it's a problem for businesses. The rents are just skyrocketing. So I'm trying to plan ahead, and I have to plan a lot of flexibility in, because to be honest, I don't know what will happen with this building. Yeah. So, and I think most businesses in Dublin feel that way at the moment, which is a pity. It makes it hard to plan, or it's hard to expand, or take my business to the next level when I haven't got any security about having a place to work. Yeah.
And were you close by prior to this, so before this?
Yeah, space? So before this I wasn't far away, also in Dublin city centre. So yeah, I've managed to stay in Dublin city centre the whole time, actually, which has been great. I have had quite a few moves over the kind of 10 years that I've been doing it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. And each of that's been caused by the lease expiring or the building getting occupied by something else?
Yes, actually. Yeah.
That's good. And this is kind of the creative quarter or section of Dublin. Is that correct? Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah, so it's Temple Bar.
Yes.
And Temple Bar is a kind of zoned for entertainment and nightclubs, pubs, and it was dubbed the Creative Quarter. But there are some creative businesses hanging in here. Yes.
Good. And how have your hats changed since you first started making?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I hope they've got better. I think they have got better. I've used different materials. I've learned to keep it a bit more simple. In the beginning, I would sometimes make things incredibly complex, just in the process. And I've learned to kind of manage and design the process as well, so that it's I can make a profit, basically. Yeah.
And what materials do you like working with?
God, I love any natural material, actually. And the moment I work mostly with cinema. I'm looking around for something else to work with, and I haven't really kind of found it. Yeah, I haven't found my next material.
You grew still in cinema.
I do. I love layering the colours, and I do a lot of hand sculpting with it, so I find it's great. I hated it at first because it's so flat, and I felt like it looked cheap. I suppose because it's machine woven as opposed to the kind of hand woven hoods and things that you would have seen in the past. But actually, once I found a way of working with it that I liked, I really appreciate it now.
And what is your block collection like?
Oh, I spent quite a lot of money on blocks at the start, and then since then I haven't really bought many blocks. I've made blocks. I've found, just the economics really. They're so expensive. I mean, they're worth it, but I've found it good to be able to make them as well. Yeah.
And what process do you use for making? What material are you using your blocks?
For blocks, Rose Corey taught me a method to make them from buckram, so I've made lots like that. And then recently, last year, I made some of the crown blocks from like a heavy cardboard, and varnished it, which worked really well and was actually easier to manipulate, but it was easier to sew. And I've made some wooden blocks, which weren't my best. Like I need to work up that skill, you know. I've adapted blocks from other kind of trays and bowls and all that kind of stuff. And what else?
What's the craziest thing you've blocked on?
I don't know. I use a cobbler's anvil quite a lot, which is really nice. I love it. Yeah, I've found actually I kind of have stopped blocking like that because I'm really into ellipses now. I kind of try. I've stopped using circles. Yeah.
That's changed. That's how that's changed. And how would you describe your workspace?
My workspace, oh gosh, it's small. It's full.
And you share it? Is this
I share the workspace with a dressmaker, Gianna Bass, and her business is called Golden Stitch, and it's fantastic sharing that way because we were able to share the consultation space. So in Dublin city centre, it's just very expensive to have any kind of space. So a consultation space that you're not using, every minute of the day, it makes sense to share it. I've done that I think I've done that from the start actually, is to share the consultation space. Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it. And then you're also similar clientele as well, so it's mutually beneficial in a way.
Yeah, and it creates a nice, more lively atmosphere as well. It's a bit more coming and going, so it feels a bit more buzzy as well, which is always good. And I'm up on the third floor, so I don't have any street presence, but so far that's okay, and as my clients are making appointments with me anyway, they're phoning first.
How do you structure your week? Do you have a plan for each week, how it might look, or how do you manage your time throughout the week? When we were emailing to arrange the time, you mentioned like, oh, that's my making day, or they're my making days versus that's my...
Yeah, so actually I follow what the clients want. If I get a client appointment, and I will try and get other client appointments on the same day. But generally, if they want, I follow what they want. So, yeah. If I have maybe 2 days with appointments, then I would really try to keep all the other appointments on the same 2 days so that I have other days clear for making. Yeah. It's quite hard to get stuck into making, which is such a long process. If you're interrupted, and then I always find I need a bit of time before an appointment and a bit of time after as well, and it's just hard to make things around that. So it's nice to keep them separate, or not to keep them separate, but to have dedicated making time is nice. But it's not, I don't have like a set day for that. Really I have to meet clients when if they want to meet me.
when they want.
Yeah.
And what's been one of your favourite commissions that you've done for a client or a project?
I'm really excited about this one I'm working on now, because I'm making a new shape. This lady needed more volume she's a broad face, and she needed a bigger shape. So I said I will make it, and she can come back and try it on, and then if she likes it, then we'll go ahead. But I'm going to make a sample. I wanted the sample anyway, so I guess I'm excited about it because the block is going well.
A good start.
Yes.
Your pieces you have on display in your studio, do you have like set release dates in which you work and release a collection, or is it kind of like a flowing process that they release?
It's more of a flowing process. I would love to have a collection and launch it and that, but I haven't managed to do that yet. Maybe this year, because I'm working on, I have 2 new shapes, and then some other shapes that I'm bringing kind of up to date, so I may have a collection this year, but we'll see.
And when you're designing, what's your process when you're creating a new piece?
I like to handle the materials and see what they suggest. I do a little bit of sketching, probably should do more, but I find my drawings, I really have to make it to see what it's like, and so I would tend to make a few prototypes until I like it. So it's quite a slow process, because I'm making. Drawing should make it a bit quicker, but I find sometimes you draw something, it doesn't actually work out when you make it. So, and it really varies. Like sometimes I'll get like inspiration from just like out of the air. I don't know. I have an idea about what people will want to wear next, or where things are going with hats, and other times I might be inspired by other milliners, or historical milliners, or, as I say, by the materials. So the materials of what's available is often, and what the materials will do, will often lead me.
Have the styles that your customers are looking for changed over the time since you've begun making?
Yeah. I kind of, when I started, people were always asking for smaller, and thank goodness that's turned around a little bit now. Sometimes they might even want bigger. That's great. And then I started making like a crown shape, probably like year before last, even. And it's been really nice to see that actually come into fashion. So that was nice, It's been really popular this year. Then also, right in the beginning, I didn't really realise who my clients were going to be. So I was kind of feeling around in the dark. But once I realised that the mother of the bride, mother of the groom was a niche for me, naturally then I have adapted to that as well, Yeah.
Well, do you have any clients that wear them to the races as well, or it's mainly?
Yeah, occasionally, and I'd love to do more race hats, but at the moment it's mostly Mother of the Bride and Groom. But I like racing hats. I'd like to make things a little bit more flamboyant as well. But I mean, I also love what I'm making now. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Do you find it a challenge that they are just after that for one special occasion? Like it's just a hopefully the daughter or the son's only going to get married once, so that's a once-off occasion, and it's always a new flow of customers, or do they end up returning for other occasions? How does the workflow work for you?
Well, some of them have come back. The generation that are getting married now, lots of them have lots of siblings. So I don't think that will be the same in future, the next generation. But at the moment, people who are getting married might have even 5 siblings sometimes, so they do come back, which is nice. Yeah. But not always, so it's a very Irish thing too. Yeah. People love it, and people kind of feel like they have to do it as well, so I'm all for that.
And has that changed in terms of them seeing that happen? Are they interested in what's happening in the British royal family in terms of what they're wearing hats, or they're just...
They do, they are, they will quite often reference what the royals are wearing, because I mean, they're wearing hats, so if you're looking to wear something, you're going to check other people doing the same thing, and they're wearing them, so...
And they're doing it in the public eye as well.
Yes, and they're wearing great hats as well at the moment, so yeah.
Good. And what's your plan? What's your next project you're working on? What's the next thing?
Yeah, I mentioned the kind of rent instability here in Dublin, so I'm kind of have a weather eye on that and looking at, as I say, having a collection so that I can get a more convincing online presence. Yeah. I think it's great when I get to meet people. I can make a sale. Can I make a sale online yet? No. So I think I need to work on that. I'm looking into wholesaling as well, maybe, or I'm not sure yet how hood work and how love hats work. I think maybe consignment, or actually it's something that I'm going to look into. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you do any wholesale or retail through other stores, or all your clients come to you up here?
It's all bespoke. They all come to me. Wow. Yeah. I mean, at the beginning I did have hats in some shops, but it's I found it was a lot of work going back and forth to the shops and keeping the relationship with the shop, which is really important, and the hats would get shops soiled, and it was unless the hat is right there next to your Italian I don't know, this is a system that I think I want to work out for the next year. But I mean, I have dabbled in that before and I found the bespoke model much better, but as I say, because of this rent insecurity thing, I might be looking at that again this year. So it's a year where I expect to see some changes, but I'm just kind of like it's not quite New Year yet. I'm just kind of readying myself for the onslaught of 2019.
Well, good luck for the new
Thank you.
year.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for having us in your Dublin studio.
Thank you, Lauren. It's really nice.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Kate. This podcast is made possible thanks to our Patreon supporters, the Hat Academy, The Essential Hat, and Louise McDonald Milliner. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter of this podcast, you can find out more about the different levels of opportunity through the link on our website. It's a fantastic way to spread the news about your business, supplies, or event with the millinery community. We look forward to bringing you another episode soon, and happy stitching.